Hey guys, it's Tay Harvey again from Anextent North America, and we're here with another quick episode of anaxSKOOL Mini. So today, we're gonna answer the question that we get more than any other at Anextent. When people are using anaxGum composite or any light cure composite, what is that sticky layer on the surface? Is my composite cured? Is something wrong? That sticky layer is not a mistake. It's called the oxygen inhibition layer. And today we're gonna explain what it is, why it's there, and what to do about it. And what can happen if you don't do the right thing. So to get started, let's explain what it is. So the oxygen inhibition layer on composite is there because oxygen is in direct contact with the composite. So here on my little illustration, I've got, let's imagine this is milled PMMA, okay? And you've done beautiful layering of anaxGum. And with each layer of anaxGum that you make, there's a little sticky surface after you've cured it. That's great. If you're gonna add to it, that sticky layer, the inhibition layer, is your bonder. So you can be sure that whatever you add composite to the sticky surface of a previously cured layer, it's gonna bond. It's gonna stay there. It won't delaminate. But what do you do when you've done all this work on your beautiful anaxGum composite? You've got your sticky layer and you don't want to add anymore. Why is that sticky layer there? That sticky layer there is from oxygen. So you've got oxygen all around you, right? It's in your curing unit. All that empty space is oxygen. And as long as that oxygen is in contact with your composite, that very outer layer where they touch is never going to cure. So what do you do? What do people normally do? We've heard everything. People try to wipe it off with alcohol. They try to grind it off with a burr. They steam it off. It's not something to be removed. It is literally uncured composite. So any grinding you do, guess what's gonna happen? That sticky layer is gonna just push into little nooks and crannies where you think it's gone, but it's hiding where you least want it. Let's say along the gingival margin of a nice full arch prototype. What happens when a case goes out the door with the inhibition layer still on the surface? The composite's going to discolor, it's gonna absorb odor faster, it's gonna start to collect bacteria. It's what gives composite a bad name. So what do you do to cure it? That's all you can do. You can't remove it, you can't clean it away. We have to remove the oxygen. And there are a couple ways you can do that. Both of them are pretty simple. Once you've frozen that last layer of composite in place, so your 3-minute cure depending on the curing unit, you're still gonna have the sticky layer, that's fine. You're gonna take a product, Cover Gel, that's the Anextent version of the product. Cover Gel is a water-based glycerin gel that's going to suffocate the surface from oxygen, but it's still clear so the light can penetrate. So we're gonna put Cover Gel all over the surface, a nice thick layer. We're gonna put it back in the curing unit and cure it again. Now that the oxygen has been cut off, it's gonna cure. So yes, you do have to wash the Cover Gel off later, and you can do that easily with soap water and a toothbrush. Simple. Now, are there any other options? Because it's an additional curing step, I get it. You don't have a lot of time. You don't have a whole lot of time to wash it off when you're done. Totally get it. So there's one other thing you can do. Let's say we were able to remove the oxygen from the curing chamber of your curing unit by replacing it with nitrogen. So the Auto Flash curing unit that we sell at Anextent North America does just that. All you have to do is flip a switch to turn on the gas, and it takes all the oxygen out of the chamber, replaces it with nitrogen. Now you've got an inert environment, and it's gonna cure without the Cover Gel. So instead of freezing the composite in place with one step, and then applying the Cover Gel and curing it again, washing the Cover Gel off, you can skip all that by just replacing the oxygen with nitrogen. And then your composite's still gonna be nice and cured. You can go straight to polish. Now, glazing. It's another question. Doesn't the glaze, if you were to apply glaze to the surface of your composite, doesn't that suffocate the composite from oxygen? So don't I skip the step if I'm gonna glaze? I'll just put it on the sticky composite layer, cure the glaze, cure that, all in one step. Perfect. Doesn't work that way. Number one, uncured composite is going to react with the glaze. So your glaze may not cure completely. Your glaze is also not going to get a perfect bond to the surface of the composite, so it's going to chip and flake over time. So if you've had issues with that in the past, that could very well be the problem. Now, it's not just the composite that has this behavior. Any product within the Annex gum line or any light cure composite line is going to have a sticky inhibition layer after you cure it, as long as there's oxygen in place. That goes for stains, that goes for flowable composites, paste composites. Now, glazes are different. Once you cure a light cure glaze, you'll notice if it's sticky at all, you're not going to cover it with cover gel and cure it again. If it sits sticky at all, that means your light cure unit does not get low enough of a light spectrum to properly cure it. Glazes are actually formulated with a chemistry that does not react to oxygen the way that composites do. So I hope this kind of solves a couple mysteries for you. Next, we're going to show you 2 different curing units that we carry at Anextent North America to help you decide which way you want to go, cover gel or nitrogen. Okay, so let's talk light cure units. We have 2 different models that we carry at Anextent North America, and they are the Anextent Lightbox, very popular, very cool, and the NK Optic Auto Flash, which is newer to our product line. I'm going to explain sort of the advantages of each. Usually it's pretty easy to figure out which one's right for you if you know the differences. So first, let's talk about the Anextent Lightbox. It's about as simple and portable as it can possibly be, but it's also kind of the latest technology in LED lights. It actually has a microchip inside that regulates the intensity of the light and matches it to the curing pattern of composite. That's pretty cool. It also has 3 different modes that you can use depending on what kind of product you're trying to cure. So that customizes the wavelength and the intensity of the light appropriately. It also fits the Anextent clear injection flasks, and not many light units do. So if you're injecting composite in the Anextent flasks, this is designed specifically for those to fit perfectly inside. Now, if you're not using the flask, it's a pretty deep curing chamber, so it comes with little inserts that you can use to elevate your bridge or whatever you're putting the composite on. Coolest advantage about it, if you're going chairside in different practices, this is so incredibly portable. There are no little turntables or moving parts, so it's really easy to just throw this in a bag and take it with you. Now, it does have a glass top, so you can't be crazy, but it is very, very portable and a pretty tough little tank. And if you're doing chairside conversions, you may know what it's like to show up to a practice trying to cure your bonder, your composite, whatever you're doing, and realize that their handheld light or their triad isn't cutting it. So being able to take this with you really gives you a lot of confidence. So the auto flash. Remember, we were talking about the nitrogen. So the Anextent Lightbox, you do have to use cover gel. With the auto flash, you're replacing oxygen with nitrogen on the appropriate steps of the curing workflow. So it is a smaller curing chamber. It's not going to fit an Anextent flask, okay? But it is super speedy, and you don't have to use cover gel or have that extra curing step. So the way it works, you can see it's got a strobe unit. It's a strobe flash bulb. It has a fan that keeps it very cool. So both of these are relatively heatless, which is also important with composite. But once you've gotten your final layer where you want it, instead of freezing it in place, applying the cover gel, and curing for another cycle, you just place it in the unit. I've got it set here to the setting where it's gonna displace all the oxygen, replace it with nitrogen, and then start the strobe flash. And it takes about 20 seconds to completely switch out the gas in the chamber. But once that process occurs, you've got a completely inert curing environment, and then the strobe will kick on. Now, portable, it is not. So this is a unit where you're gonna put it somewhere in the lab where everybody has access to it, and you're gonna leave it there. Some labs have both. They've got the Anextent light for portability and the auto flash for speed. It's so cool how it works. Also, final cure takes like 90 seconds of strobe with the 20 seconds to displace the gas. But you can see why this unit, if you've got multiple technicians all working on cases at the same time, that's gonna be your go-to. So That's our curing unit offering explained. There's really no need for anything else, maybe a handheld. Whichever one of these makes the most sense for you, order one today. Also, affordability. This little guy, the Anextent Light, is an incredible price point for what you get. And it's about 2/3 of the whole price of the auto flash. So there is a step up in cost for the auto flash, but you're gaining it back in time too. So thank you so much for joining us today. Make sure and subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Anextent North America, so you won't miss any of these future videos. And try to catch one of our Anextent Live episodes where we pick a topic and then we pick an expert on that topic and we grill them to learn everything they know. And you can ask questions live. So thanks so much for joining us today, and we'll see you next time. Bye.